Hi there. Today we are looking at the next Sun transit. My name is Bambaji and I just take you through an overview of what's going to happen during this next transit as we move from the 57 into gate 32. This is on Sunday the 13th of October at 15:35 BST. We move into the gate 32, which is called duration. It's the gate of continuity. It is in the Splenic Centre, as you can see from this image, and the Splenic Centre is highlighted only because to show you where the 32 is, and then the Sacral Centre also highlighted just to show you that's where the grounding to the 32 is. The grounding is in gate 42, which is the gate of growth, the gate of increase, the gate of endings, and it's in the Sacral Centre. So this is the only image I'm going to show you. As I told you in the 57, I'm just playing around with how I present this information. And it's less, maybe a little less discontinuity if I go, yeah, learn how to speak. That always helps, I find. So here we go. The 32nd gate, the gate of duration. It is in the Splenic Centre. It is pointing down towards the root centre. And the harmonic gate, which is the 54th gate, called the Marrying Maiden. Together, the 32 and the 54, they form what is called the channel of transformation. It is a design of being driven. This channel is deeply tribal, and it is deeply instinctive as well. The 32nd gate is the root of what we call instinct. The Splenic Centre, as maybe you're aware by now, it's an awareness centre. And each and every one of the 7 gates in the Splenic Centre represent an aspect of the potential of splenic awareness. And that aspect of awareness is accompanied by a fear that drives it. At the core of what we call intelligence, at the very base level of that, is the great motivating force that is fear. And mostly this has to do with the way in which we have developed as a species. Mostly it's to do with fears around our survival. That's really what the Splenic Centre is focused on. Because the world used to be and still is really a dangerous place in many ways. Our fears for survival have led to the development of survival strategies. It is out of these survival strategies that our intelligence has evolved. And one of the roots of this intelligence is instinctive. The fear associated with gate 32 is the fear of failure. Every single line of the 32 is dealing at some level or another with the fear of failure. So much of what is instinctive is rooted in the nose. If you're somebody who has the 32nd gate, you have a nose for certain things. And it's not just a sensitivity to aroma, although it usually is that, but it is also a nose for talent or the ability to smell a rat. You can smell failure coming because this is a memory gate and there is the remembrance of failure past. Unlike the 54th gate at the other end of the channel, which can only remember victory. So we have the duality between the 32 and the 54. The awareness here is to recognize what can be transformed, what should be transformed, and what should not. The ambition of the 54 does not always have to be satisfied. There's a time to move up the ladder, for sure. There is a time to change the products that your factory churns out. There is a time to go through these processes. The awareness in the 32 is trying to judge clearly what can and cannot be transformed. Gate 32 is a liquid regulator. Our memory is in our water, in the cells of our body. The water in our cells carries our memory, and so this stream of instinct is also a memory stream. Any activation in this stream is always going to be an indication of a deep cellular memory. It's a memory for what didn't work. The smell of failure, it builds up over a lifetime of seeing what doesn't work. We get a smell around what doesn't work, what failure smells like. So then when that comes around again, ooh, you recognize that smell. As far as the tribe goes, this splenic side of the body is about enterprise and ambition. It's the capitalist side of the tribe, running from the 54, that gate of ambition, up into the 32, then across the spleen or the splenic center to the 44, and finally up to the 26. This is the splenic stream of instinct, the tribal splenic stream of instinct. The 32 takes the role of being like the factory foreman. They stand up onto the gantry and they're overlooking the factory floor, and they can see who's doing what, which worker is pulling their weight, who is hiding behind somebody else and not maybe quite doing their share, who is wasting resources maybe. The 32 is very concerned about resources, and it's very much concerned with avoiding failure. So the fear theme of the 32nd gate is the fear of failure. And when you're carrying the 32 in a defined splenic system, you're always dealing with a deep fear within you that failure is possible on the material plane. And this becomes a driving force. This is tribal. The tribe is about support. This is a major keynote for tribal circuitry. Any gate, even it doesn't have to be in the channel, but any gate that's in tribal circuitry carries this keynote of support. The collective is all about sharing. The individual is all about empowerment. And the tribe is about support. So the 32nd gate is always looking for talent within the tribe, because talent can add to the wealth of the tribe and possibly benefit the 32 along the way. And so the 32nd gate always has its eye open, looking for who needs support, who needs a little bit of a helping hand to get up the ladder of ambition, who then might also remember that 32 a bit later on and say, oh yes, you helped me. Now let me help you up the ladder as well. Because there's always that within the tribe, is that bargain. Remember, just because we're on this side, there's still a hint of bargain within all of the tribal stuff. This is the capitalist side. So in the tribal sense, with tribal capitalism in mind, the success of the tribe is absolutely essential. Without material abundance, the tribe is going to begin to suffer. And its infrastructure is going to begin to suffer, and it may no longer be able to defend itself. It will not become a tribe worth noticing, worth joining. Above the lines in the Ravi Ching, it says the only thing that endures is change. And this is something that the 32nd gate of continuity has to deal with. Everything in life changes. And so we find conservation is a key element of the hexagram. It's the first line, and it's about giving respect and attention to all aspects of a process. It's about developing an instinct for processes. The 32nd gate in an undefined splenic system is always going to hold on to the wrong things, because that's the not self strategy of the open splenic center. Holding on to the wrong promise of those who hopefully can lead you and them to transformation together. Whenever you're dealing with an open splenic system and the not self strategy of hanging on to things that aren't good for you, and then the splenic system or the splenic center is conditioned by somebody else, by the transit. But mostly if it's activated by somebody else, then that strategy can actually become twisted, and it can become letting go of things that are good for you. It's the binary, and it's definitely something to be aware of. For those who carry the 32nd gate, I've got it, there's always this deep risk of feeling insecure, feeling uncomfortable, because there's always a concern about the material plane. If you're making decisions correctly as yourself, you will be able to handle whatever the material demands are. And you will be able to sniff out those who, along with yourself, can lead to the material transformation of the tribe or the group, the family, whatever the case may be. This is the potential awareness to adapt in the now, instinctively, without losing continuity. The 32 is also called the gate of duration. It's where all of our instinctive imprinting is rooted, and by its nature, it is extremely conservative. The mirror channel to the 5432 on the emotional side is the stream of sensitivity, the 1949. It is social and it's communal. This stream of instinct is social and individual. Rooted in the splenic system, it is first and foremost about individual survival on the material plane. It will not rush to embrace a revolution, but if that revolution succeeds and it's established in the general community, then it will instinctively adapt, maintaining its basic nature. This is the potential awareness of what can or cannot be transformed. It is a kind of a brake on the fuel and the drive that's coming up from the 54. The fear of failure in gate 32 can lead it to be a gate of prolonged indecision. The conservative reliance agonizing over the risks of being driven towards transformation. And yet, the only thing which endures is change. But change is such a risky business. We have just transited from the very complex 57th gate, where we were dealing with the individual gate of intuitive knowing, intuitive clarity, and its capacity to connect to the three different possibilities. The sixth line of utilization is what has led us here into the 32. And there's an irony here. We are part of a mutative process. In our understanding of individuality, the genius to freak, for example, we have seen that without the ability to mutate, without the ability to be able to explain, or without the ability to be able to be an example, the individual fails in its task, because that's what it's here for. In order to be able to bring mutation to society and to change the way in which the collective works, the individual has to work through the tribe. They cannot directly mutate the collective. To mutate the collective is to miss the backbone on which our societies are structured, and that's the tribe. The tribe doesn't much care for the collective. The collective is always getting in their business. But they don't have the same feeling towards the individual because they have a similar kind of problem. The tribes have a problem that is genetic. The tribe has a closed genetic pool. And all tribes know deep in their psyche that that is a situation that cannot be permitted to go on for very long, because if it does, then you start getting inbreeding and you're going to have a damaged, weakened genetic pool. So what the tribe is looking for is the traveling salesman or the temporary farmhand, or someone who shows up and ends up in bed with the farmer's daughter and is then accepted into the tribe because they bring some unusual genetic material with them. But once they are accepted into the tribe, they have to conform to the tribe. They're not an individual anymore. It's important to understand that the only way that anything changes is when the tribe changes. Individuals come and go. They always carry mutative potential, but of course that doesn't mean that they can actually transform that potential into something that penetrates the entire society. That can only be done when they penetrate the tribe. So this movement from the 57 to the 32 is a classic movement because the 32 is the most conservative of all the tribal gates. It's the gate of conservation, of continuity, of duration. It gets deeply destabilized the moment that there is no consistency or continuity in the life process. And this is a gate that is deeply concerned with money, or what things are worth, how much they cost, what people are worth, where's the value. This is gate 32. The movement through the wheel is just quite wonderful. We go from the deep knowing of the 57, the clarity of the 57, the wisdom to know in the now. And in that moment of knowing, there's a movement toward the tribe. Change the conservative nature of the tribe with your individual intuitive clarity, and you change the world. The grounding for this transit through the 32 Sun Gate comes from the collective sacral gate of 42. This is called increase. It's the gate of growth. This is the expansion of the resources which maximizes the development of full potential. The 32 is deeply concerned with resources and with making sure that the tribe has enough to survive on the material plane. So it just seems absolutely perfect that the 42, with its expansion of resources to maximize development of full potential, that is such a perfect grounding for the 32. And we will see that as we go through and we look at all the lines, how the lines of the 42 do support the lines of the 32 so beautifully as we go through it. So this is gate 32. This is something to explore over the next 6 days. Do you feel anything coming in with this? Do you feel suddenly a need to look at your material resources, whether or not your family is going to be safe and secure, whether there is that survival on the material plane, or are you quite secure in that? Can you see the continuity of your tribe moving forwards? Perhaps there's that slight sense of fear of failure whenever you're about to do anything that might impact on the tribe, that might make them look bad if you do fail, or might either, if you're able to transcend that failure, make them all look really good and attractive to that traveling salesman. Lots of different things to unpick with gate 32. And it depends whether you've got a defined splenic center or an open splenic center, and what is this bringing to you? Do you have gate 54 and now all of a sudden you're going to have that whole channel? These are things to sit with and explore. And as I've said before, because this is a sun transit and it takes 6 days or so to move through, then we have a real opportunity to feel into it. It's not like that moon transit that's here and gone in 32 minutes. 32 minutes. Yeah, in half an hour, not half an hour. I'm sorry, I'm very distracted by a blackbird that's sitting on my windowsill. I'm just wondering if I can put the camera on it. And then as soon as I think camera, it goes. Anyway, the moon is about 11 hours. Yeah, okay, so I shall go and sort myself out and do the first line. So I'll be back with that in a little while. Until then, I will see you later. It's not good to be distracted when you've got an open head. It's bringing yourself back on track is really quite challenging. Yeah, anyway, yeah, so if I don't see you for the lines, then I will see you at the next gate. And otherwise, go gently, take care, and yeah, bye-bye for now.